starting at the very last paragraph, starting with next, and then I'll turn it over to you, Paul. So page 63 of the big book, starting at the bottom of the page, next. Next, we launched out on a course of vigorous action, the first step of which is a personal house cleaning, which many of us have never attempted. Though our decision was a vital and crucial step, it could have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and to be rid of the things in ourselves which had been blocking us. Our liquor was but a symptom, so we had to get down to causes and conditions. Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. A business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke. Taking a commercial inventory is a fact-finding and fact-facing process. It is an effort to discover the truth about the stock in trade. One object is to disclose damaged and unsaleable goods, to get rid of them promptly and without regret. If the owner of the business is to be successful, he cannot fool himself about values. We did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup which caused our failure. Being convinced that self manifested in various ways what has defeated us, we considered its common manifestations. So we went straight to the heart of the matter on this one today, Paul. I thought maybe you'd like that. And turn it over to you and we'll get started. Thank you.
Thanks. Welcome everyone, Paul Alcoholic. Yeah. There's the first, which is you got to quit playing God. Then there's the first next, which is the principle. And then there's this next, which is taking an inventory. So there's first, next, and next. Yeah. So I found in my experience that there is a logic to the linear progression of the program, the steps, and that it's best to sort of stay on the step that you're on, and then that step will produce the conditions that are necessary for the next step, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So I feel like you're picking up speed now through the recognition of that you're screwed, that basically something can unscrew you, and that you're gonna make a decision to let that happen. And then we enter the working steps, the 4 through 9, with hopefully that momentum of willingness can break through the inertia, because I feel the parasite, and I'm using it as an image, there's no parasite as a thing in you, but it's an activity that seems to be parasitical. And I feel like the parasite, that activity doesn't really want you to look at what's going on, because you'll find it in it. Yeah. You'll see that, just like it says that, oh, people will step on your toes seemingly without provocation. But if you'll invariably find, if you look into it, that there was a decision made from self or from fear. Yeah. The head doesn't, that active disease does not want you to look at your role in things, because you'll see its role in things. Yeah, simple as that. And are you going to do, what kind of inventory are you going to do if it's your store or if you work at the store? I would imagine you would do a much more honest inventory if you work there, because who wants to be proven wrong a lot? So you have 500 pairs of Elephant Bell jeans. They haven't sold, and you feel like you made the decision to buy them. You don't really want to look at that, do you? Yeah. You just want to skirt over that and look at some other stuff. So a fearless and thorough inventory, I feel that which comes before that is seeing what you're inventorying as not you. Yeah. To see that these are the manifestations of self in our life. Our life and self isn't the same. Yeah. So there's a manifestation of self, let's say this foreign influence in our life. Yeah. And how does it have so much sway and so much influence? There must be an activity that keeps it in place, even though if you had a fucking huge bug land on you, you'd knock it off in a second. Well, I would say living under alcoholism is worse than a freaking huge bug on your arm. but we don't seem to be able to knock that bug off because we don't see it as a bug. We see it as us, yeah? So it has the perfect camouflage. It can do all of its activities knowing that when they happen through us, we're going to call them ours, yeah? So that's the bondage of self, I feel. And we're not saying it the exact nature of the wrong or whatever. We're saying at least a description of the nature of the wrong. You'll find out if it's the exact nature of the wrong in your own experience, yeah? But at least have a possibility of a formalized, the exact nature of the wrong, because it's pretty damn vague, because self and us seem to go just are synonymous in most cases, yeah? So when we're looking at self, we're thinking we're looking at us, yeah? And when we're looking at us, we're looking at self. We don't, there's not a clarity, is there? I mean, I don't see it much. So why not throw in a certain, like a formalized line in the chum of the ocean, yeah, and see what happens if you entertain it. And how do you entertain it? If you're at this for the first time, do an inventory based on that direction on page 64. Being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. We're now going to look at self's manifestations. It doesn't say our manifestations, it says self's manifestations. And resentment, it doesn't start with our resentment, the next paragraph, it's resentment, yeah? So, most resentments noticed are called ours, yeah? What would that be? What would that be a diagnosis of? The act of being identified as self, yeah? You've seen it in your own life, yeah? It's different to hear the diagnosis from a doctor and then to really see it in your life, yeah? It has a much more powerful impact when you see what's being described, yeah? And to see the difference between resentment and my resentment. It's much different, yeah? And what is that vague, activity that I don't see between me and a problem when there's a bridge called my, yeah? It seems to change the problem, doesn't it? The sense of my changes what comes after it. Doesn't it or does it? Check it out, yeah? We used to do a simple basic thing on a chalkboard when we first started 30 years ago. We would put down money, health, sex. And then, all right, we're going to change the meaning of that word without changing a letter of the word. My money, my sex, my health. Yeah? Tell me that there isn't a different weight. What happened? How did money get so heavy without adding any word, any letter to it? It's money. Yeah? What gives it the meaning that it seems to have for us? It comes from the mind, doesn't it? What does it just drop in, unbeknownst to you? Suddenly money gets to be incredibly freaking important. It's usually framed as my money. Yeah. What's that? Do we want to live around, I don't know. It seems trying to, defend yourself against a future punch when you're getting body punches landed all day. It's just sort of like you're in the corner dead on your feet, but you're worried about the next round. Yeah, you're just done. We've been defeated. We're outmatched. Yeah. So, yeah. So this is fearless and thorough inventory really needs, for that to occur, there has to be first seeing that self is what has defeated us. That will lead to a fearless and thorough inventory on self. I do fearless and thorough inventories on on people all day here. Yeah. My girlfriend, the neighbors, there's constantly fearless and thorough. I'm not hiding anything about the neighbors. I'm saying, their dog is driving us crazy over here. It's very clear. It's not vague, I don't understand what's going on. No. But why is it that that same light of fearlessness and thoroughness can't be put on us? Yeah. Why? There's got to be something going on unbeknownst to us. Yeah. If I'm identified as that which I'm not, I'm pretty much in the act of defending that which I'm not. I'm promoting that which I'm not. And that's why a lot of people I feel in our community leave at the fourth step, because you're getting to the nut of it all. You're going to look at self's manifestations. That's the last thing it wants. Yeah. So bammo, they split. Yeah. Yeah. And when you're getting to the point of becoming free from the past by doing the amends, it splits, because the past is its main ally. It has you sentenced and convicted for crimes you didn't actually commit. Like you were dancing with the gorilla, you were going to stop when the gorilla wants to stop. But now it has you pinned down by all the past shame and guilt based on you were the doer of shit that it did through us. Doesn't want to look at that. Yeah. It doesn't want the past to be not regretted and the door not, no, it wants that door shut. Yeah. If you see someone that you owe an amends to, you'll move to another state. Yeah. Jesus Christ. I'll do anything other than that. But what's talking for us at that point? It's the disease. If the problem resides in the mind, tell me what it is. Isn't it infected in the thought system, in the narration, in how we perceive things, how we take things, how we view things? Yeah, it's up at the control tower. Yeah. Nothing's happened at all. But this fucking renegade rebel group took over the radio station that all the citizens are living in, and they've told you it's all over. We've taken over, and everyone just assumes, all right. All they did was take over the radio station. They don't have any control or power over everything else. They're just saying they do. And because we're addicted to this, we listen to it. Yeah. You're feeling pretty good. No, you're not. Yeah. You're really enjoying sobriety. No. And it sucks. I hate meaning. Yeah. It just goes on. And it's an interpretation that's it's just, most of the time, it's so far away from the page of the day. Yeah. It's reading from another book. I mean, it's like, my day's pretty chilled out. It's going to be terrible by 1 o'clock. So I don't know. Maybe you thought it was just a drinking problem. Yeah. Well, there you go. That should have been dismissed by now. I thought it when I came in, most of my crazy behavior was based on cocaine usage. And then I was still being moved by that crazy behavior, stone cold, physically sober. Yeah. Oops, I was wrong. I thought I had the exact nature of the wrong in my fucking sights. Nope, I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong. Then by the relief, I know as I was on to something. I had relief. A relief not like, paying for an hour massage. A relief while living. Yeah, I was enjoying the benefit of relief of the bondage of self. And the solution told me about the problem. And it told me, at least in this case, the exact nature of this wrong is an identification as self. Now, what do you think that is? Identification as the doer of all the actions, as the thinker of all the thoughts, as the feeler of all the feelings. Yeah, that's what it means. Yes. I seem to be in a position of owning a lot of shit I have nothing to do with. Yeah. Yeah. That burden gets too heavy. I get moved to get relief. I drink. The genie's out of the bottle. Consequences ensue. I get tattooed with judges and prisons or hospitals or divorce cases and shit like that. And then I'm burdened by the self the rest of my freaking life. And the only thing I can hope for is a momentary relief, knowing I'm willing to pay any consequence tomorrow not to feel uncomfortable now. So I know I'm going to get arrested in about 12 hours when I shoot this coke, but I'm going to shoot the coke anyway. Yeah, I am. Yeah, because if you knew how I was feeling, you would too. Yeah, yeah. How are you going to argue with someone when it's come to that? Yeah. You know, I don't know what's going on in people's heads. I know what's going on, but I don't know the level of volume, how loud it is. Yeah. So I have great empathy, and it didn't take much really to have me feeling completely screwed. Yeah. It could do it in like a minute, 2 minutes. Yeah. So for the ones who are here and they're in relief from the bondage of self, hallelujah, man. That's the greatest message we can broadcast. And I don't mean running the programming of the station, just allowing the music to play. Yeah. Yeah. So, yes. So, if you haven't done a fourth step and you have a sponsor, maybe point out that you would like to follow the direction on page 64. Just see what happens. Let's see if I call my manifestations self-manifestations. Does it lead me to travel lighter or heavier? Yeah? Yeah. And do an inventory. And then if you want to do the same inventory, saying it was you, do it. And then see what happens, yeah? So yeah, Michael, thanks for this opportunity, because repetition is helpful, because this idea isn't welcomed in occupied land. Yeah, you have to keep presenting it for it to seep in. Yeah, because the head doesn't want it. It has an answer already. So, yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. So the fourth step, yeah, it's necessary. You have to take an inventory so that you can start seeing the patterns of how self defeated us. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
admit with the sense of powerlessness or surrender that you're not going to change anything, but you're able to be changed quite a lot if there's a submission. Yeah. So what's the submission looks like? You've entertained the third step, you start writing. That's how it can look. Yeah. That's a sign of submission. You're doing the working steps. Yeah. Yeah. So thanks.
All right, Paul. So I don't see any hands up right now at this time. If you have any questions for Paul, please use the raise hand feature in the more section of the tabs, and we'll get your questions answered by Paul. At this time, Paul, you'd mentioned something at the very end there about, being able to help people that have been, that are still in the grips of, let's say active alcoholism. I have a friend right now who's in that category. And, at some point, like, I just need to raise my hands and like, I just want to like, I don't know, kind of give up, but at the same time, like, I don't know how else to help you. I remember when people came to me and I was under the active addiction, like I would talk to people, but I didn't want to hear what they had to say necessarily.
Yeah.
Any direction you can help in that area? We don't talk about that too long.
Give them no help. No help will be helpful. I mean, I'm a believer of not keeping people away from their bottom. Yeah. I mean, the bottom will convince them, I hope. Yeah. So, yeah, the time is to move on, like they share about in the book. If the person you're working with isn't really interested, move on. Find someone else who is. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
life is going to be the determining factor. Yeah. I didn't get, in my case, I didn't get sober through AA. I stayed sober through AA. I got struck sober, and it wasn't at a meeting. And I went to the meeting, and that was how that being struck sober got extended into living, for 30 something years. I was immediately, I got whacked, and then I was introduced to the way I was going to stay unwhacked, from the thing. It was a beautiful combo. I don't think it would have worked, any other way. So who am I to say that's not your friend's journey? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, really, isn't there so much help now, at least on an outside area? There's sober living houses every street, there's rehabs, there's inpatient, outpatient, stuff like that. There's tons of avenues of help that have almost become the problem can make it a problem, all that help. Yeah.
Right. True.
So, I mean, maybe sometimes the best help is not to offer any and let life have its effect. Yeah. 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 Because a lot of people now have set up businesses so that their desire for you to be sober can be facilitated, but it doesn't work if you don't want to be sober. Maybe it will strike you when you're on the premises, but still, a lot of us just get institutionalized with rehab stuff. And I mean, like it says, there's no human power. So yeah, you can be of great assistance as a vessel, but not as the captain of the other person's sobriety. Yeah, because remember, no human power is going to get us sober. That's the premise. And I think Michael and Paul fall under that category as human power. But maybe Michael and Paul have a certain sense of humility, and there's something that can come through that they're very clear has nothing to do with them or everything to do with them. And there, I think work gets done. Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
I'm a believer in sponsoring. The sponsor and sponsee, without sponsoring, they're in name only, right? Sponsoring is suggestions are offered, advice about the suggestions are offered. The person who's hearing the suggestions applies them, sees if they work or not. If they do, there'll be more suggestions. Yeah. Yeah. If they don't, maybe some other suggestions. If it doesn't work to a point, the sponsor says, hey, maybe you should find someone else to work with because it's not working here. And the more importance is the sponsoring, not you as a sponsor. Yes.
Right.
I've lost one. No, I don't see it that way. I don't. I feel like, yeah.
Awesome, Paul.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to ask a question.
Michael, I went up to, I used to speak before, all the stuff that's happened in New Jersey at a rehab for like 15 years. Yeah. So this one time I came over and I went up to the stair of this little rickety building where they have their headquarters, this place, Milestone. And there was this, I would say elder couple, but they're probably almost my age. I'm still seeing myself as 18 years old, but I was sitting with them and their son, they were trying to get their son back in because he had been in and left and got into a car accident, broke his back, and he was going to be coming out of the hospital. And they wanted to do everything they could, but they were very clear that the love of their son wasn't going to do it, because they were both in the program, and they realized that point, that there's going to have to be grace, or it's probably going to come through someone other than us, That's a heavy thing, I imagine, for a parent, but they were very clear about it, They were going to do what they could, but they knew they couldn't do, that. They can't get their son sober.
Wow.
So I think that all of us have had that. I couldn't get Paul sober.
Right.
Yeah. That was one of the great admittance. Why not we extend it that I'm not going to get anyone else sober either? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We can sort of get together and stay sober. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it's not like me getting you sober.
Right.
I feel that's sort of like, let's say Michael needs to hear the message, Paul needs to carry the message. Michael needs to carry the message, Paul needs to hear the message. So it's very symbiotic, yes? Yeah. I think
Yeah.
that's the circulation of the blood of recovery, yeah, is one alcoholic being helped or helping another. Yes, it goes on and on. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul. So we have area code 530. I heard that you had a question. Would you like to come in and ask your question? What is your name, please?
Yeah, thanks. This is Gary.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, Paul.
Gary. 530. He's from a corner, that's all. All right, Gary. He's trying to fool us.
Still powerless in Somerset could be my name. Anyway, I'm not sure I got a good connection. I'll try to ask the question though. But it's kind of like I was sitting thinking this morning about stop playing God. And then it occurred to me, well, I can't do that because the one who's hearing the message, stop playing God, anything he does is playing God. So that's kind of running up against the wall. I don't know. I would just wonder if you had any sort of tricks to, what occurred to me is like, well, who's that? Who's the one who says he has to stop playing God? But it gets kind of confusing a little bit. I just wondered if you had any thoughts around stop playing God and who's hearing it and who does it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, more gets revealed around that, yeah. So you see that there's something that's playing God that isn't you. And when it thinks it hears the message, you got to quit playing God. It will attempt to do that, which is just more playing God. Yeah, but you're the audience of that futility. Yeah, there's an aspect of you that isn't in that futility anymore. You're seeing the futility. Yes, you're seeing the futility from the relief of bondage of self. You're not seeing it from that which is playing God. You're seeing it from somewhere else. You want to call it the innermost or the unsuspected resource, whatever, spirit. It doesn't matter. The matter is that you're seeing something you used to look from somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see the playing of God instead of looking from the playing of God. It's hugely different. Yeah. So you realize that thing can't stop playing God. Yeah, there's an acceptance to that. So you stop doing that thing they term to be the definition of insanity. You stop doing the same thing, expecting different results. Yeah, you stop aligning yourself to that agitation that wants to get out of self as self. Yeah, there's something changes. Unbeknownst to you, there was a position out of the system that could see the system. Yeah. So you can see the failure of self-centeredness, not from self-centeredness. You've had the effects of the failure from self-centeredness, but you see the failure of self-centeredness from another aspect of us, yeah? That unsuspected inner resource, or whatever you want to call it, the innermost. They're implying it's not the familiar place you feel like you live from, yeah? So you get like a bird's eye view of something that you used to not have any awareness of at all. Yeah. And now you realize that which is playing God can't quit playing God because it will keep trying to play God. Yeah. And you realize you realize a lot, let's just say, put it that way. You realize a lot. See, when you're trying to figure something out while it's moving, when it stops, you really see a lot. Yeah. So when you pull out of something, you can see that something much clearer than when you're in it. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the mental state is playing God. It's not attempting to, it's what it does. It interprets life for us. It tells us how things were, how they are, how they're going to be. That's what it does. Yeah. It's not personal. It reinforces a sense of personalness, but it's not personal. It's just it's like a radio broadcast stuck on 1983. So you're hearing all the news about 1983, even though you're in 2022 or 21. Yeah. Yeah. And you're trying to make
so
sense
it doesn't
of it,
apply.
and it makes no sense. But you're trying to make sense with it because you think it's you and it's the only message you can live by, but it ain't. Yeah. 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 You can at least get in the ballpark. The problem resides in the mind. Let's be clear about that. That's right out of the book. We're not adding anything to it. It says the problem resides in the mind. Yeah. So what else seems to reside in the mind? It may be that which resides in the mind may be infected with the problem that resides in the mind. So you would think the narration you're hearing is from the mind. Yeah. Your elbow isn't talking to you, is it?
No.
Your knee isn't telling you how the day was or how it's going to be. You're not hearing it from your big toe. Yeah. It's coming from somewhere or nowhere. Yes. Okay. So if the problem resides in the mind, you can be pretty sure that all the mind activities are infected with the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
So therefore, maybe at one point they were reliable, but now they're not reliable because they're infected with the problem. So you can't rely on maybe what you used to rely on when you were 8 years old and something that was uncomfortable and you walked in and your head told you, oh, whatever, That thing those days are over. It's completely unreliable.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, because it seems like there's a tendency to get some kind of a insight and go back.
Do you think alcoholism is in one little cell of the activity? It's an amplification. It infects a system. It's not the system. Alcoholism infects it. It changes things. So instead of a lot of concern about self, you're extremely concerned with self. Yeah, it amplifies certain conditions, and as you know, something. Let's say there's two people mad at the same time. It's much different when there's 50 people mad at the same time that become now a fucking gang or a riot. Yes. So when certain things are amplified, they have more of an effect. So let's say you have a strain of jealousy, then you have alcoholism, you have a couple of drinks concerning that jealousy. You're up on stalking charges in a month. Yeah? Because those tendencies that you could have lived with before now are too powerful and they exact consequences. You act out based on it. And therefore, there's a reaction to that acting out. And maybe it's going to jail or divorce court or something, or getting you fired at your job. But there's going to be a reaction. Yeah? The genie's out of the bottle. You're going to get its wishes, not your wishes. Your 3 wishes are done. You're going to live by its wishes. Yeah? Don't you feel it that way?
Yeah. Well, sometimes. Yeah, it feels like.
When I was out there using, I hear that my sister died. She killed herself. I shoot cocaine right then. Yeah. You would think that if I was in my right mind, I may have taken a second and considered how much love I've had and how much care she showed me, my older sister. Yeah, and maybe my day would have gone in a different direction. But no, you could have told me anything and I would have still done what I did. I've been completely taken over. Yeah.
Yeah.
They expected
So
me to behave
not
myself like a
reliable.
week. Yeah. I fly to New York. They are hoping I'm going to behave myself. I don't behave myself. Yeah. I don't. I'm powerless. It doesn't matter what the circumstances were. I wasn't going to fit myself around the circumstance. I had a previous circumstance, which was active addiction, that I was fitting around all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess what I'm hearing here is you're not going to turn, like sometimes I get a bright idea and it feels like, oh, things are going to go well from now on. Now I can trust this trustworthy mental process. I'm cured of it. And then I go back and try to depend on that and it goes like not well.
Yes, because you and I have been or maybe in a potential condition that doesn't do well with temporary principles. It needs sound principles. It needs a North Star in its life. Yeah. And that's what AA has offered us. It's given us a life of principle. And you do your best to fulfill it as best you can, but at least you're directed clearly now. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't need. We're not a particular case. We're not the only person with active addiction. Yeah. We don't need a certain perfectly suited to our condition program because it's not our condition. That's why the program is really sort of like a fits all size. It's like a hat that you buy. It says it fits all size. You don't have to worry about small, middle. Just put it on. If it fits all size. Yeah. So the program is like that. It's not dealing with you, Gary, whatsoever. What you think is unique about Gary. It's dealing with a strain of obsessiveness that demands relief and ignites consequences to the point that it's a little bit of his suggestions become commands. Yeah. It's idea of, that may be something to do is an order. And now you're in a sense of powerlessness. Something is running your life, living through you, using you for transportation. Yeah.
I see that.
So you make a deal. This isn't like, all right, there's people who are not been in AA for a while. At the 35th year, you get your life to run again. Yes. If you can make it to 35 years of sobriety, they have a little secret meeting and you're given your own will. And but you know what? Anyone who has those years of sobriety never goes to the meeting. Never reclaims the will. Because they know better. Perhaps there's a better way. The better way is reliance on something greater than self. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, let that be a. It's not like, oh, wait a minute, let me go run in and get the ruler. You have a ruler in you. Some things are measured by it. Those are principles in a sense. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It just seems that, and maybe I'm a broken record, but it seems like even principles or doing program stuff, it seems like that self, it tries to co-opt that and say, okay, now I understand this, and now I'm going to use my understanding of this to fix everything, and it goes awry.
So listen, Carrie, it's going to keep doing that. This is not about working super hard to make it stop. It's realizing it's not you. That's how it works. The mental state is going to claim wherever it is, and it's going to make up a story to fit itself. Yeah? Don't be fucking surprised if that's its nature. Yeah? But it's not about that stopping. It's about a loss of interest in it because it's not of you. It's not about you. Yeah?
Okay.
It's not like
That's
that idea that speaks to you as Gary is going to stop. It's just a change in how much you listen or not. Yeah? That's where there's
okay.
the loss of interest. Yeah? You're going to hear it. It plays. Yeah? But it's either you're marching to its tunes, yeah, or you're mining it for comedic fucking results in a sense, because it's funny in a way. It's really. We talked about the what happened, the reaching, the absurdity of assumptions. Well, there's a lot of laughing when you see the absurdity of the mental assumptions that you've been living as. They're insane. You don't think you're digesting the burrito you had last night, are you?
No.
You have long yappings about, oh, you should have digested yesterday, or you better digest it before you have that pizza later. No, but at the same time, you believe you're the thinker of a much more subtle process called thoughts. I mean, it's insane. Do you believe you're beating the heart? Are you sitting there beating your heart? No, of course not. But is the heart beating?
Yes.
Yeah, so something's going on without you. Yeah? Yeah. There's tons of shit going on without you.
Yeah.
And you'd be feeling a lot better about tons of shit with less of you involved. I tell you.
That's for sure.
Yeah. So the evidence is already in. You don't need to find the evidence. You need to look at it, really. The evidence is here. You need to look at it. Hopefully, what we're doing here will provide a pair of glasses to look at it in a different way. Maybe you'll see a whole lot more in it. Yeah? But the evidence is already accumulated. There's no, I got to find more evidence. No, it's right there, right, laid out right in front of us. Yeah? Read the book and tell me what it means. Being convinced, self-manifested in various ways, is what has defeated us. We're now going to look at its manifestations. How do we look at it? By doing an inventory. Next paragraph, resentment. Yes? How could you say that what we're talking about, one of them, which is resentment, is yours when it's self's manifestation in your life? There must be a misassumption or a misunderstanding right there. And then you're going to do all this activity, and that little this misunderstanding is going to produce a huge effect over time. Yeah? You'll be trying to get out of you as you, not recognizing that's completely described as self can't get out of self. You won't see it that way, obviously. You'll be seeing Paul is trying to get out of self. And that makes complete sense. But Paul isn't Paul. It's self getting out of self. There you go. Do you need another sentence? Self can't get out of self is it. That's the evidence. Yeah. You have to have it said in different ways? No, right there. I mean, it's the most apt description they could have found, which is self can't get out of self. How did that come about? By trying to get out of self. Quite a lot. They realized it was self trying to get out of self. What? Yeah. We're hopefully trying to put that realization out as a message now, so maybe you can save time and trouble. Because you're going to end up at realizing self can't get out of self. Seriously, you are, hopefully, unless you die before. Yeah? But hopefully you're done before you're done, meaning dead. Hopefully you'll be done and realize this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to gather more evidence. No, you don't. Yeah. Just look at it. Look at it from this perspective. If self is foreign, that means I can be free from it. If self is me, I'm going to try to have to be free as it. That seems to be a Herculean job because I run into self can't get out of self, so I'm screwed. Yeah. Somewhere inside of you, there's a surrender to sort of the dark side. I'm screwed. I might as well just get fucked up. Yeah. Yeah. Because I've tried to get it free as self for a long, long time. It hasn't worked. Yeah. I've changed Buddhism to Kabbalah to this, to that, the da, the dee, the da, the da. And everywhere I go, I'm there. Yeah. Yeah. I hear about this great party. I arrive and it sucks. I can't freaking understand. Yeah. When I leave the party, it seems to be great again. When I get there, it sucks. When I leave, I hear it's great. I get there, it sucks. There's a message in that. You know, for those who have eyes to see, there's a message. Yeah. All right, Gary.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you so much. Paul, we have another question. We have Ruby. She's been very patient and waiting to ask her question. Ruby, come on in.
Hi.
Ruby.
Well, I was riding on the same thread on the quit playing God. I don't remember when you said that, and you said it was like the first thing that you really hear in the big book, which caught my attention yesterday at a meeting. It was on that subject of the God, and I used to call it the God thing because I was really pissed off at the God thing. I had God made in the image of man. My sponsor told me about that. And then what you just referred to is something happened when I started saying that out loud to the gals that I work with, that I said, you know, the first thing it tells us is that we have to stop playing God. And I can't explain what went on inside of me, but it's what you alluded to. There's no words for when that happened because it was seen. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I was trying to outrun that sucker, moving at such a pace to try to get it right, and then giving it all my all to get it right, because if I could get it right, I'd be okay. And then, of course, that's ridiculous. Nothing gets it all right, because what does that mean really anyway? And they'd, like, something had happened and they'd say, well, don't cry over spilt milk. I said, I don't cry over spilt milk. I take the fucking fridge out. It didn't, I was so frustrated until I heard you say that, quit playing God. Yes. And then this thing just happened. And then the brother before me like brings the whole thing out in the open. And I've started saying that now out loud in meetings. I don't say anything else. They'll start up and it'll go on. My resentments, my this, my that. And that it's not from a judgment point of view, but what we speak of here, I mean, level ground. And then all I can say in the beginning is, well, it says right in the beginning of the book that we have to stop playing God. There was no God in a sense. We're just playing God. Once again, you know, here I'm on here mind blown, you know, like hallelujah, like you say, because, you know, wow. I don't have to do that anymore. I was the fucking spinning plate lady on, you know, like you're in the circus and you got your plate spinning and you're fucking up on the tightrope wire. You're baking bread over here. You're making these fuckers happy over here. You got to get over here, got to get here. And then you crash. You crash. And then I just fuck it and I'd load up. I just put that. I don't know what the hell I was, but I was putting it down. Well, you know what? I haven't had to put this down in a really long time. It's fabulous.
Yes. Well, you know, Ruby, there's an old example from India where they say a guy has this very big, heavy basket on his head. He's got to get to another town, and he's walking, and it's excruciating, really. So someone tells him, "Hey, there's a train that goes to that town. Yeah, it's at 1 o'clock." So he goes, walks there, gets on the train. Now he's on the train, and he's in the process of going to his destination, but he's standing there with the basket on his head still. Yeah. So there was a super amount of relief, but he still is burdened until he hears the next suggestion, which is, "Hey, bro, you can take that basket off your head. You're on the train. You and the basket are on the train." Yeah. So this is what happens. You see something, yeah, then you see something more, yes, and then the relief like progresses, like leaps and bounds, because the one link weakens the whole chain, the second link weakens the chain. Then you realize with weakened links, it's not even a chain. Yes?
Right.
Yeah. And this just happens like a snowball. Yeah. But you need to have that foot in the door, so to speak. Yeah. You've got to sort of get to see in the vicinity of what could be the nature of the wrong. Yeah.
Right.
They give us it's the mind. That's where it resides. Yeah. And therefore, a lot of what we would call mind, small m mind, could be infected with alcoholism. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. Yeah. And so we're relying on that which is not reliable. Like they go on the we agnostics. Yes, reason had its role, but now it doesn't at this point. Yeah. And so you have to find another way. You can't rely on this because maybe it had the ability to be reliable, but it's not now. Yeah, it's unreliable. So they're okay. That's just this clarity leads to more clarity. Yeah, that's all. So let's just get clear about all right, the problem resides in the mind. What does that mean? I mean, what does that look like? Yeah, I would say it looks like listening very attentively to the thought system. Yeah, how it's telling you, how you are, how they are, this and that. Yes, there's your ear is so close to the radio, it's creating a distortion you're not aware of. Yeah, if you had a little distance, you may realize how insane or how false the evidence is. But when it's right like this, it sounds like God is talking to you. That's the playing God. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So,
right.
Yeah. So you start with that. And if it's a linear process, which it is, first is more important than next, obviously. So first, quit playing God. Next, the third step, the principle of the third step. Yeah. Why? Because you don't want that which is playing God to play God concerning the third step. That's the whole point. Yeah. The whole point is you don't want the head to be saying that it's the one who's decided to turn its will and life over, because it's also has a clause in that deal, which is I can take it back, which it does quite a lot. Yeah. And so that's not surrender. That's transaction. Yeah. So we have to see that which is playing God before it plays God with the third step. Yeah. That's why it's brought before them. Yeah. Yeah. But hey, better late than never. Let's see it now, wherever we're at regarding the steps. Yeah. Let's see it now. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks, Ruby.
Thank you, hon.
Yep.
Thank you, Ruby. Appreciate you. All right. Next up, we have Andrew. Andrew, you had your hand raised in the chat.
Hi, thank you. Hi, Paul. Thanks for your share. Thank you, Michael, for taking this meeting as well. It's very interesting how you were talking about this like parasite, Paul, that basically claims us as a host and sees us for its purpose. But you know, it talks. You also talk about the 4-step inventory about resentments, etc. And I actually discovered really that I found that resentments, fear, etc. I found that even before I was drinking. When I started drinking at 22, 23 years old, I found that from a very young age, I sort of like was living in a lot of fear in life. And that was going back to school days. And I found that followed me through.
Michael, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
I was losing Andrew there.
Can you hear me?
Now I can. You're
Andrew,
at 23 years old or something now.
No, turn off your video, Andrew. If you turn off your video, maybe it'll come in clearer.
Okay. Is that better? Is that better?
No, it's still a little.
Yeah. Sorry, I had this problem the other night with the laptop. I don't know if it's something with the laptop.
Yeah, something happens. It sort of echoes, and then without the echo, I can understand the accent, but with the echo,
Is that any better?
I feel like I'm in Glasgow asking for directions. I can't understand what's being said.
Okay. All right. Let him try now.
All right.
Try now, Andrew.
Is it better now?
Maybe don't be so close to the microphone. Can you move the microphone back a little bit?
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Great.
Okay. So yeah, as you was talking about Paul, that I had a sense of like calmness and peace when you were talking about how really we shouldn't really pay too much attention to this parasite host that tries to claim us, which is what you call the alcoholism. And so anything to do with step 4, resentments, fears, or whatever, that crop up in your inventory, especially what you're saying is that if we just allow ourselves to be in awareness rather than listen to that voice, then obviously we will have or find or discover that relief from that parasite. Because that's how I've struggled in life, is that I've listened to that and paid attention to that too much, claiming that it is Andrew.
Yes.
That's where I struggled in my past. And even in recovery, I've still struggled with it, actually, to be honest. Sometimes I give it too much attention and I believe it's me. And I'm going, it's just a voice, Andrew. That is just a silent voice.
Yes.
Actually,
well, the thing is, again, you don't want to look at it as something Andrew's going to do, because that's just going to produce more sort of confusion. You just do the steps and stuff, and then it gets done to, or done by a higher power, and then there's a recognition of it. So Andrew's not going to lose interest in Andrew. Yeah? So even though Andrew has now said it's clear that loss of interest is necessary, Andrew isn't going to be the one to promote that, because Andrew trying to lose interest in Andrew is interest in Andrew. Yeah, just a simple, that's pops up everywhere, that logic. Yeah, so self can't get out of self captures it. So if you just do the steps, what we're doing, and living in service is probably the easiest way to get a feeling of being out of this loop of self. Yeah, service. That's why it's one of the 3 sides of the pyramid, which is recovery, unity, and service. Service is supremely important based on the condition that most of us are in, which is an extreme obsession with self. So you have to get out of there. And action tends to work pretty well. Yeah. I mean, really, if you look at people, let's say you go to a coat you know, you're sharing coats for the winter, you know, so maybe you're there dishing out some coats. And you can be doing it without a coat on. You're feeling pretty damn warm. Yeah, you're feeling pretty damn good. And that doesn't, even though that experience may not last, its impression does. You start getting a sense of what it's like to live outside of self, really. Yeah. And I think service and the examples it provides is very powerful. Yeah. So don't try to sit there, Andrew, and thinking your understanding of it is going to lead to a freedom from it. Your understanding is just as easily compromised by selfing. So just, to me, it brings the solemnness of the condition and the transfer from trusting the finite to the infinite, how important that is, that I don't need to have my fingers on any of it. Yeah, but just do what we do and come here if you like, because these ideas are going to get in. They're going to have a beachhead and they're going to move and hopefully produce lightness, really. Really. And yeah, so just stick with us. You can learn about the problem, but you don't want the problem to have knowledge about the problem. That's a bigger problem in a way. Like it says, self-knowledge avails us nothing. So yeah, the steps are all about changing the dynamic of interest. Yeah. One of the most profound statements in the big book to me is just a little throwaway line on around page 63 is we lose interest in self. That's the whole enchilada. If we could do that, we would have done anything to do that. We can't, but there's a loss of interest in self through submitting to this program. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that loss of interest in self progresses. Yeah, it progresses, and then the power structure shifts. Yeah, now instead of being directed and all the faith and interest going to self, it now goes to the infinite. Yeah, or at least a large percentage, and it shifts the dynamic of power, really. Yeah. So now, in the admittance of powerlessness, you have incredible amount of power. Yeah. Where the other way, you didn't have any power, but you would defend your right to have power to the death, but you were powerless. Yeah. This case, you admit your powerlessness and you have power. Yeah. They're activities, but it's so like a completely, the choreography of the dance steps are different. Yeah. Yeah. In this case, you stop thinking of you as the doer and a lot gets done. And then when you're constantly thinking you're the doer, you're paralyzed about any decision and shit. Yeah. Yeah. So you feel like you
makes total sense. It does make total sense.
Yeah. So it does, because it you know, it's common sense is hard to find. This is pretty common sense. Yeah. If you're relying on mental processes and the problem resides in the mind, maybe those mental processes aren't reliable. Yeah. Maybe that news channel is now a propaganda channel. Yeah. So, yeah. A lot of false evidence being presented as real. I'm happy to see you, Andrew. I'm hoping you and I and all of us here will stay sober together. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you for your question. All right, Paul, that's all the hands up, all the raised hands that we have for today. I love that last part. Common sense is hard to find. That's a classic. Appreciate that. And on that, would you like to say your goodbyes?
Yes, I would. The Zoom has made the squares even smaller now. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to wear glasses. I vaguely remember Michael Stacy. You can see him. Thank you, Mike. We got Paul from the UK. Yes. Ruby Rose from Wichita. Nice to see everyone. Rob Farr decided to drop in for a few. That's nice to see you, Rob. Tommy from Ireland. We got Maria. Is that? Yes, there she is. Thank you. Yeah. We've got Ted. Ted from Redondo Beach. Nice to see you, Ted. Yeah. Jacob, non-Jacob. Yeah. The action figure formerly known as Jacob. There you go. We got Linda. Nice to see you, Linda. We got Amy from Seattle. She made a live appearance. Nice to see you, Amy. Yep. We got Alex from the Hudson Valley. She's getting ready for her next beauty pageant. Yes, she's chilling out for a while. We got Stefan on Having Never Left, as always. We got Mickey. Yes, the power broker of Madeira and the rest of the valley. Yes. Nanette, there she is. Yes, Nanette is alive and well. Yeah. Rich A, nice to see you, Rich. Yeah. Kurt, he's at the SS Enterprise in Redondo. Yeah, there he is. We got Chris from Mammoth Lakes. There he is. Nice to see you, Chris. Looking beautiful up there. Andrew from the UK. Yeah, Andrew. Remember, in the beginning and to the end, it's about not drinking. Yeah, it's important. Yeah. All the powers and all the effects that you may be able to enjoy, drinking may make it not seemingly so. Yeah, so let's just stay sober. Yeah, yeah. Daniel, I don't know if I've ever met Daniel. His thing's going crazy. He's at a beach though. Thank you for that picture. They're all appearing again. We got Oliver, James Lebowski, Terry from Maine. Nice to see Terry. Evie, I think. See, we got Jim. Nice to meet you, Jim. We got Susanna W. We got Kate. I can't read this one. Demas, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I think I got it. Hey, listen, thanks, everyone. Oh, there's Kerry. I missed Kerry, and more squares keep appearing. Wow, it's a trip. All right, well, nice to see everybody. It's a sunny day in Northern California for the first time in a while. It's great. Thank you. See you guys.
Hey, Paul.